Hello, welcome to Stateofmysterypodcast. I'll be your host. My name is Maria.
I'm the passenger, Leslie.
And on this podcast we talk about spooky things.
Spooky.
So, today I have an interesting story for you.
Okay.
And I don't think it's what you're expecting.
I didn't look anything up.
You didn't look anything up because I have told you nothing.
Exactly. I'm ready to roll.
Okay, so imagine, I'm going to set the scene. You're in Kentucky, ready to explore. You've heard about this park for a long time. I mean, they have the longest known cave system with 426 miles of mapped passages.
Like all the 426 miles underground?
Wait. They have mapped passages. You have your hiking boots on, backpack, the whole 9 yards. And there's this cave you really want to explore. You've done your research, you've gone to the National Park website and the services, mapped out your tour and planned your visit. You start your trek and go through the rocky spaces leading you into a large, beautiful cave. You inspect the marbled walls and thousands of years of history, but you hear something off in the distance. A voice, maybe? A yell? You ignore it. You tell yourself it's the echo in the caves. You keep admiring the caves and the rocks when something shoves you. You ignore it, and it shoves you harder. You look around, only to see a shadow lurking around you. Then you see a man pointing at you in the right direction, helping you not get lost, but as soon as he gets you into the right direction, he disappears into the cave walls. Today's episode is about the Mammoth Caves in Kentucky.
426 miles of caves underground.
Tunnels. Underground tunnels.
Man-made.
No. Hefty.
Interesting.
So let me give you a little backstory about these caves. First of all, I looked at pictures and they're gorgeous. I'll show you some pictures after, but if you're watching the video version, I'm going to insert some for you. These cave systems were made over millions and millions of years. The Mammoth Caves used to be under a shallow sea during the Mississippian period, which is 360 to 325 million years ago. So sediments at the bottom of the sea solidified into layers of limestone, shale, and sandstone. The water slowly dissolved and created these beautiful caves, which now have sinkholes, tunnels, and animals and everything. Okay? So it created these caves, and then about 10 to 15 million years ago, rain on the limestone resulted in the passages. So there's 426 miles of mapped passages within this cave. So the cave was formed, and then after the cave was formed, the passages were formed. And I didn't even say hi to Judith. Say hi to Judith.
I've got Judith, man. We're bonded.
So since these caves are millions and millions of years old, they have a lot of history.
Are they like cave drawings?
We'll get into it. So the first documentation is that they were used by the Native Americans back in 1200 BCE. And different minerals, so they used mussel shells to scrape off the minerals on the side of the cave and use them. So these caves were also used as burial sites for different funeral objects.
You tell me people are down there hiking through these 426 miles of caves and there's people buried in them.
Yes. From Native Americans used to there were some tribes that lived there. They used it for mining, used it for all of things, lived in there, and then people passed away in there. And the reason that they know these people were from tribes is because of how respectfully they were buried.
Okay.
And how the funerary objects, that's what they were called, funerary objects.
Okay.
Were placed with the bodies, so that's how they know that they were respectfully buried. So later the Europeans used them for mining salt pepper from the cave, which is used for gunpowder. This was really...
What is it? Salt pepper?
It was very big in the war back then, so they used them to mine for gunpowder.
Okay.
So, and often they had enslaved people doing this, because why is there always a white man with slaves? It's later used as a hotspot for tourists, with formal tours starting in 1860, where enslaved people would leave these tours. So slaves I'm calling them enslaved people because I feel like it's really showing what they were, like what was done to them instead of calling them slaves. So I'm trying to say enslaved people, but they would lead these tours. So in 1816, they would have people down there and they would tour the caves. So some common names of enslaved tour guides were Stephen Bishop, the Bransfords, the Hansons, and the Hunt families. In 1839, a doctor named John Croghan purchased Mammoth Cave with hopes of turning it into a health resort. He believed that this cave was healing properties, that it had healing properties based on the climate, humidity, and the air within the cave. So he ended up making it a hospital for tuberculosis patients in 1842. There were a total of 16 patients at the time, living in 2 stone huts, or wooden huts, but mainly stones, built by the enslaved people that were kept. So, after a few months, 5 patients died, were laid out on what is now known as the Corpse Rock. Yes, they have something called the Corpse Rock there, located inside the caves. The experiment lasted less than 5 months and resulted in him bringing the remaining survivors back. So, they had like this whole thing, because back then they weren't really advanced in medicine. The damp environment made the disease worse. So like his patients, he ended up passing away in 1849. But there's still like little rock huts there. There's 2 of them that have been preserved for like tours.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a little history. Now we're going to talk about this man named Floyd Collins. He was born July 20th of 1887 and was a cave explorer and often known as the greatest cave explorer ever known. He was a lifelong cave explorer. Starting at the age of 6, he developed much of his life exploring in caves in Kentucky. So he discovered Crystal Cave, which is part of this, in 1917 and turned it into a tourist attraction. This is like a huge tourist attraction and a lot of deaths. Keep that in mind. It wasn't until 1925 that he found a more accessible cave, a sand cave. Unfortunately, he got stuck in the cave because it was a narrow passage leading in. He was in hopes of like finding a cave that was more accessible for people because the Crystal Cave had like a little bit of a hike going into it. This cave had a very narrow passage and he ended up getting stuck for 2 weeks and then he died. People were called, like they tried to like get him out, but he ended up dying.
Wait, when you say stuck, you mean like?
It was a very narrow path, like I should show you it, like he was stuck. This poor man was stuck in this cave for 2 weeks. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
So, because there's so many deaths in this property, and there's 426 miles of tunnels, like, enslaved people have died, people, like TB patients have died, Floyd Collins had died, and many, many people before this who lived in the caves have died. So it's basically a partial, like there's bodies still. A lot of deaths in this cave. And then there's a church close by. But, so there's so much history and deaths within the property. It's millions of years old, with a lot of enslaved people who were wronged and people who died in tragedy. A lot of people believe that there's a lot of hauntings.
Oh, sure.
So some people believe that Floyd Collins haunts many of the areas like the Sand Cave, the nearby church, and his house. As far as the cave, people claim that they see his ghost or hear his ghost, while others say that his ghost helps them from getting lost. So they'll say that this
He directs
man
them.
helps direct them out, which is really sweet to me. And other people have reported that he's screaming for help, which really is sad. But it's like if he is down there and he's helping people get out, that's sweet. But an enslaved man named Old Lewis was said to have haunted the property too, after his remains were moved from the church to the cave entrance, which
Why to the entrance, and why did they move it?
I think it was for like a tourist situation, but I don't know. Some people believe that they hear coughing still when they're in there because of the TB patients in the cabins. And other people believe to have seen black shadows, ghostly figures, and unexplained happenings during the tours. A park ranger reported seeing an African American family in the church next door, which is where miners were held religious services. And the ranger said when he turned the lights on, they were all gone.
I wonder if they were enslaved people.
Park guides and visitors have reported experiencing strange events such as being shoved playfully, hearing footsteps.
Playfully?
Yeah. Or being touched when nobody's around. Many park guides report having strange experiences during a blackout, with some claiming to be shoved, which I just said before, but the old wooden Mammoth Cave Baptist Church building, now part of the national park, is also the site of paranormal activity with reports of mysterious lights in the windows. So that'll like...
This is Kentucky.
Outside. Yes.
Interesting.
So here are some random facts. The cave is named Mammoth not because of any mammoth fossils found, but because of the size of the cave systems.
55 degrees, like, I would have expected caves, especially if there's a bottomless pit, to be much, like, colder.
Yeah, 55 degrees
Like,
year round.
we used to go to caves, and they were always pretty chilly.
And the park was established in 1941. This cave's been around for a long time. What do we think?
You put him in the bottomless pit. It's interesting. I would like to see some pictures. I'd like to...
I'll show them to you.
In Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Wouldn't have expected though.
Would like to go there. It's really pretty. Like, I was looking at pictures of it and it's super nice. Like, there's like a lot of different tours too. Like, there's a whole website dedicated on the National Park Service's stuff. And you can see all the like different layouts of tours they have each day. And some of them are like a mile hike to get into the cave. But it's not always like accessible because I guess you have to squeeze into tight spaces. So this is Mammoth Cave. So it's almost
the bottomless.
I don't know, but it's almost cathedral looking, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And there's like sinkholes, and then there's water at the bottom, right there, and then it's all like limestoney, and it's all like, it's beautiful.
Interesting.
But I thought it was super pretty, and that's why I ended up, there was also another cave that I was looking into, and a lot of them say that they're haunted, but here's the big suspension bridge. Hold on, let me, if it load. It's like a big
Oh, hell no.
bridge, and it goes around the whole thing. You can't tell me that's not cool. And it like, there's like stairs all the way down the bottom of it.